would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Real Estate Realities with the Rebel Broker. My name's Robert Whitelaw, and I am the Rebel Broker. Licensed real estate broker in the state of California, member of the National Association of Realtors. But please, don't hold that against me. Welcome to it, folks. It has been over a week since last we spoke. Easter has come and gone. I hope you all had a fantastic Easter weekend. I did spring break with my sons, took them to the happiest place on earth, Disneyland. I know that might sound a little goofy for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while and have heard my passing comments about my sons. You know they're all teenagers, and you know one of them's about to go off to college. But it's kind of one of those things that we do from time to time, and I with my oldest going off to college this year, I was realizing that sort of a milestone was being reached where from here on out, me and all of my sons may not have the same schedules, right? I mean, when your kids live with you, the schedules merge. When one of them goes off on their own, they start, they're doing their own thing, right? They're doing college. He's going to be in a different state. I'm more worried about how I'm going to deal with it than how he's going to deal with it. I think he's going to do just fine. But anyway, so I wanted to do that. I wanted to be able to make sure and do something with all three of my sons. And who knows, maybe we'll get the opportunity to do something similar next year or the year after. But this will be the last time that we're able to do it where we all live under the same roof. So there you go. God, what other neat things do I need to bring you up to date on? As usual, let me give you the usual. As usual, the best way to reach out to me is going to be to head over to the website at therebelbroker.com. From there, you can click the contact button in the menu bar to reach out and send along any ideas, suggestions, observations, or questions that you might have. While you're there, why not take the survey? Go to the top of the page, click the big red button that says take the survey to support the show. Answer there's going to be a handful of demographic style questions plus a request for you to enter your email address. That you'll get asked for that twice. Use the same email address both times and you'll be entered to win a $50 Amazon gift card. We've been doing that once a month. We've done it now $400 worth of stuff, $400 worth. Congratulations to the folks who've won. Good luck to those who register between now and the next time we do a drawing, which will be in May. We've already done April's, so jump in and see how it works out for you. Finally, if you would like to join in with the Rebel Underground, simply go to the website. Check out the show notes for any show, really, and there'll be a button there in the show notes that say join the Rebel Underground, or you can text the word Rebel Broker to the number 44222. That's text the word Rebel Broker to the number 44222. Once you've done that, you'll get access to exclusive content. I wish I could have someone who's a member sitting right here next to me to tell you I do not abuse your email address. I do not send you random crud. In fact, you'll wonder if you're on the list. You'll get so little stuff. I really only want to send you stuff when there's relevant stuff to send you. So far, I think there's been one item, and that has been the video walkthrough of how to drill down from a larger metro area into figuring out what neighborhoods and more local areas that you should be looking into for your real estate interests. The next video that's going to come out that's going to be exclusive just to the members of the Rebel Underground will be the next step, which would be really analyzing a specific property. And we'll talk in generalities, but also in some specifics in terms of the software I use. Not in a way that I'm suggesting you buy the software I use, but at least showing you what gets tracked so that if you want to roll your own spreadsheet or anything else, you can do that with relative ease. And that is absolutely something you can do. So it's not... I've reached out to the manufacturer of the software that I use on multiple occasions, trying to get them to offer up 4 or 5 free copies for listeners. And they have not responded, not even with a no, simply with silence. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to work that out, but I will include them simply because I use the tool and I think it's very useful. And it's something that you can get copies on for, I believe there's a Windows copy. I know there's a Mac copy because that's what I use. And I believe there's also a mobile copy. So it's one of those things you can carry around with you and use. So it's a valuable tool, and it's something we'll discuss that'll be available only to members of the Rebel Underground. So again, text the word Rebel Broker, the number 44222, or you can head on over to the website, therebelbroker.com, go to the show notes for any show, and towards the bottom will be a button for you to join the Rebel Underground. Now, for those of you who recall, this would be about 2 weeks ago. I mentioned that what I've been doing is giving everyone updates on my personal real-world experience with putting my property in the Make Me Move category on Zillow. Just to bring everyone up to date, what that means is you've gone into Zillow, you have found your home, you have claimed that home as yours. Maybe you've updated it with new information about your property or changes or anything, because oftentimes Zillow wants you to provide that additional information to create a more accurate pricing profile for that property. And another thing you can do is enter in a Make Me Move amount of money. So let's say you have a number in your head. You like your home. You're perfectly happy there. You're content to stay there. But there is an amount of money that you would accept for your property to make you move. That's why they call it Make Me Move. So as most of you are also aware, if you've been listening for a while, I am remodeling my home with the specific intent of selling it or getting the home ready. I'm staging the home with some pretty serious staging happening. And the plan is to be able to put the property on the market next month, and we're on target to do that. But in the interim, before the work got done, before I started breaking a sweat, and prepping the house, I thought to myself, how much money would I sell the home for to circumvent all of this, to avoid having to do all the staging, to avoid having to do the remodeling and all the things I would need to garner top dollar for the property? How much money would I take right now? And someone offers it and there's no commissions involved. This would just be a buyer doing the buying. How much would that amount of money be? So I came up with that amount. I put it into Zillow. And I started getting contacts, and there out of all the contacts I got, only 2 were real people, normal people. The rest of them were were abnormal people, or what we call real estate agents. And at last count, there were, I believe, 16 contacts. Actually, I'm keeping track. I don't have that tally right in front of me, but there were 16, and out of those 16. 0 of those contacts were honest with me in their approach. In other words, they told me they were investors who were looking to invest directly in the property and wanted to come look at it. Or they told me they had a buyer who wanted to submit an offer. And all of these were stories, lies that I was being told so that they could actually come and pitch listing the house. Now, there's a couple of reasons why this is funny right off the bat. Number one, in the description for my property, I told them, as the very last paragraph, please note, I am a real estate broker. I am not going to list my home with you. Okay. So that's the first intelligence test that got failed by these folks. They didn't even bother to read down to the point. They didn't bother to read it. They went and they're basically going and finding homes that have the Make Me Move notification in the area that they're willing to serve, and they're just reaching out to those folks blindly. And that should tell you everything you need to know right there. That is how little homework these idiots do before they reach out. Okay? And the worst part is that I'll bet this works for a lot of these folks. And my suggestion when we talked about this was, any agent that approaches you or opens contact with you based on a lie does not deserve your business. They deserve a honest discussion of why they won't be getting your business, and also how you will be suggesting that people do not use them. And what's really interesting is, if you were to list off what are considered, or in terms of advertising, in terms of how much in front of people they are agents in my area, I mean, is this giving too much? Because there's actually, I get contacts from agents a lot. And there was an agent who contacted me and said, if I actually call out a specific agent, I'm actually breaking Real Association of Realtors rules in doing that. So what I will say is that top 10 members of the top 10 in agents in the greater area that I serve were some of the ones that reached out to me in this and absolutely lied. And once I explained to them that I was an agent, completely just ran away. A couple of them, I didn't explain that I was an agent right up front. I assumed they actually read the entries and knew it. And it was really the ones that had said they had offers. I said, I'm totally happy to entertain the offer. When would be a good time? They came back with, this would be a good time. I went back with them with, that won't work for me. Here's a better time. And in that last response, I used my real estate email that had my real estate signature in it. And then suddenly they disappeared. All right. So why am I bringing all this up again, particularly for those of you who are like, Robert, you've already discussed this. Well, because I got one. So now 7 out of the 17 contacts I've gotten, as I mentioned before the break last week, I had an agent reach out to me who was 100% honest. They simply said, I realize you've got this up on a make me move thing. If you decide you want to sell it or you want to talk to an agent about listing it, please reach out to me. She still kind of, it was still one of those deals where clearly she didn't read the whole thing. And I'm guessing that's just what folks are doing. But she was completely honest and deserves attention based on that alone. And she finally responded. I mentioned when I first told everyone that I finally got an agent. I finally got one agent out of 17 contacts from agents who was honest in her approach. And I let her know, if I was going to list with another agent, you'd be the first on my list to call. I'm a broker, so I won't be. If I list it, I'm going to list it with me. And that whenever I am talking with folks, she's actually not in my area. She's actually over in Scotts Valley. Anyone who contacts me about wanting to find an agent in Scotts Valley, I am going to send those people to her. She responded with, she'd be fine with me mentioning her information. So today, I want to applaud the only honest agent to reach out to me relating to my Zillow Make Me Move entry. And her name is Rochelle Maxwell. She's with Arriva in Scotts Valley, or at least I understand she's in Scotts Valley. Because I remember she's in Santa Cruz County. So according to her, she serves all of Santa Cruz County, but I believe she's in Scotts Valley. But if you need anyone to serve you in Santa Cruz County, who in her interactions with me is proven she is 100% honest, this is your option. Rochelle Maxwell, phone number 408-888-4310. That's Rochelle Maxwell with Arriva Incorporated at 408-888-4310. Thank you very much, Rochelle. Well, she may not ever hear this, but thank you for being an honest agent. It was refreshing and sadly shocking, because what you did should be what we get 90% of the time, not what we get 1% of the time. So more power to her. I hope we can get more agents like her who at least start off as honest. You as a buyer or seller should be able to count on that at a minimum. And sadly, this systemic dishonesty that's built into how these folks treat the business is not good for anybody. It's not good for buyers. It's not good for sellers. It's not good for them. And as long as we allow this crap to work, it's going to continue. And I realize my reach is very short, but hopefully those of you who listen to this show, maybe you're a little bit more vocal than other folks, and you can just really hold up to these folks' faces exactly how you are seeing their dishonesty and are not rewarding it. So anyway, I hope Rochelle Maxwell over in Santa Cruz County does exceptionally well. I wish her well. I am hoping I'll be able to send her lots of business. And again, if you want to reach her, dial 408-888-4310. Let her know that the Rebel Broker sent you, and see what she can do for you in terms of helping you buy or sell a home in Santa Cruz County. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break at this point. When we come back, we are going to chat about some pretty important stuff, I think, for this time of year. According to RealtyTimes, 10 totally free tips for getting your home sold quickly. Remember, it's not just the price, it's also how long it takes you to get a home sold. And they've got some interesting tips here. We might lather on a little Rebel broker mojo to spice it up a little bit, but we'll start off with their list as a jumping off point and see where they leave us in terms of how good of a chance we've got to get that home sold for what we want to get for it and for as quickly as in as quick short amount of time as possible. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to jump in and start your search for your first investment property? Maybe you've decided that it's time to own your own home, or maybe you're ready to sell your home and move on to something new. No matter what your goal is, the Rebel Broker can help. That's right, aside from hosting this show, I am also the owner-broker of Whitelaw & Sons Real Estate Services right here in Silicon Valley. With over 25 years experience serving Silicon Valley, Morgan Hill, San Martin, and Gilroy, I or one of my great agents can help you achieve your goals in real estate. So if you're ready to look into taking that next step towards achieving your real estate goals, point your browser at www.soldbyrobert.com. That's www.soldbyrobert.com and get in touch. Let me show you how I will earn your business and your respect. Again, that's www.soldbyrobert.com, or you can call me at 408-852-0525. California Bureau of Real Estate ID 00984-909.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are today going to talk about tips for getting your home sold quickly. No better time of the year to know this, right as folks are about to put their home on the market. There are different areas that you want to focus on. The rule I like to go with, and this can be hard when you're a seller, and you've lived in the house. In my case, I've lived in this house for 13 years minus 2 years, so 11 years. 2 of those years I was living in the United Kingdom, but kept the house here and rented it. But after that amount of time, you can get some blinders to things, right? And before we get into their list, I want to hit the top couple of things that I think are absolutely essential. And that sometimes can be easy to remedy. One's easy to remedy, one's not. One is smells. I have literally had buyers walk into a house, look at each other, wrinkle their nose, and that sets the tone for the entire viewing of the property, if not results in a complete turnaround and walk out of the house. If they catch a whiff of cigarettes, if they catch a whiff of pet odors, whether it's the wet dog variety or we have a cat litter box somewhere near the entrance, those can really turn people off. And not just because of the animal smell. Sometimes it's someone may be allergic and think, oh, I can't live in a house where there's been animals. You as a seller need to recognize that can be a very big deal. If you've allowed smoking in the house, if you've got other dominant odors, and these can be any kinds of odors, if you enjoy cuisine that has a certain odor to it, whether you're a super duper fish lover and your house smells like fish, if you're a heavy duty curry lover and your house smells of curry, whatever that smell may be, those are not neutral enough smells for you to simply say, they're all right. If you're trying to sell your home, remember, one of the things I swear, if I was ever to decide to put together a bumper sticker or a T-shirt that would never sell, it would be, we don't live in our homes the same way we sell our homes. If you're someone who loves seafood all the time or really pungent odored cuisine, you need to stop eating that stuff while you're trying to sell your house. I'm sorry, that's just the truth. It's just that if you want to create a neutral environment where someone is able to easily template their life into that home, unless that person has the same cuisine interests you do, you're not going to be helping yourself. So you need to go with as neutral as possible. The cuisine part's easy. Stop cooking that stuff. Go with more neutral stuff. Go with stuff that does not smell. Or, I mean, if you've got a strategy in an easy way that you're able to evacuate those smells, great. Most people don't, though. The other thing and more difficult thing is cigarettes. I think the worst case of this ever was an estate sale style thing that got brought to me about 2 years ago, where my client's mom had passed away, and her husband had been a big time smoker. She was not a smoker. He'd been dead for 10 years, and you walked into that home and it reeked of cigarettes 10 years after the passing of the smoker. It had carpeting, it had cloth wall coverings and wallpaper. These are all things that retain smells horribly. And the other really bad thing is that given enough time, particularly if you've got fabric and stuff attached to the wall, this can even get into the drywall. But we can cover that. So whenever that's the case, you as a seller, bite the bullet, and if you've got carpeting, replace all your carpeting. And this would apply for smokers and for dog smells. Replace the carpeting, pull down the wallpaper in any room that has wallpaper. If you have some sort of weird fabric covering your walls, and I realize this isn't 1960 or 1973 anymore, and people don't typically have some sort of weird fabric thing attached to their walls, get rid of that stuff. Any of that stuff that retains those smells needs to go away. Now, once that's done, you replace the flooring with carpeting. You can get a great Berber that folks like, and make sure that pad gets taken out, and make sure that you do a descenting wash on all of the exposed flooring that was underneath the carpeting. There's all kinds of different treatments you can use. There's even some anti-allergen companies that will remove this stuff for you and do the treatment, the chemical treatment, to neutralize all those odors. There's also odor neutralizing solutions you can get that usually I know I've seen them on Amazon, where you can buy them and they come in a big jug, and you do a mixture, for 1 part this stuff to 2 parts water, that type of thing. Just do a complete wash of all of that and then let it dry, and then you can go ahead and put the new flooring down. There is also paint specifically designed to deal with odors on and in walls. So I would strongly suggest you do that, because you've achieved several things by that one thing alone. One, you've gotten rid of the sources of the smell as best as you possibly can without ripping out drywall. You've also replaced those smells with 2 smells that I have seen in my history as a real estate person sell homes faster. 1, the smell of fresh paint. 2, the smell of new carpeting. You mix those 2 smells, and I do not know what thing gets flicked inside someone's brain, but it turns those folks into much more likely buyers. The perception of being well updated, all that kind of stuff maybe is what comes into play. But those 2 smells, along with, and they've scientifically shown this, it amazes me these studies exist. The smell of cookies and vanilla, some of those types of smells are also amazing things. Oftentimes when I would do an open house, I would actually bring one of the, those little pop open rolls of Toll House cookies that you could do. I'd pop those into the oven at a listing, and I'd just bake those suckers and then give them to folks who came to the open house just to get that smell in there. For other folks who don't want to make cookies, there's also those candles, chocolate chip cookie candles that you can burn at an open house. And if you do have odor issues, maybe subtle ones, right? That are related to things you would take with you when you leave the house anyway. There's 101 different ways to enhance the aroma of your property. I know I've got one. I feel like I should really know the name for this thing, but it's one of these things you get at like Pier 1, right? And it's a little jug full of a colorful little liquid, and you put these little sticks in there, and then it diffuses this odor throughout the house. And there's like dozens of different odors to choose from. I'm a big fan of that. Because it works, and it tends to move around real well, or it tends to fill a space very well. But those are the 2 things I think that if you have not met those requirements, you're really hurting yourself. You're potentially putting yourself in a position where you're going to be on the market a lot longer, and you're going to get less for your house. I don't care what else is going on with your home. If those 2 things are present, it's bad and needs to be dealt with. All right, so now let's jump into their list. See, you're already getting Rebel Mojo sexiness, and we haven't even gotten into their list yet. My gosh. Oh, it must be so hard. It must be so hard for everyone. Anyway, number 1 on their list is fix up your floors. I think this is a good one, particularly if you have what is, for most parts, a beautiful floor. Let me tell you a very sad story about my wood floor. I have an awesome wood floor in my house, Brazilian cherry. As I mentioned, I lived in the United Kingdom for a while where I rented the home, and we had this nasty green carpeting in the house. And we decided when we moved back from England, we would get the tenants out, and in that intervening several weeks between when they moved out and we moved back, we'd get a new hardwood floor installed, which we did. And we got beautiful, as I said, Brazilian cherry all through the living room, all through the hallway, in the family room, living room and family both. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful flooring. We're moving in, literally, it's the first day we're getting into the house with our furniture, and one of our pieces of furniture gets slid across the floor in one side of the room, puts a gouge in my brand new hardwood floor. I'm not going to mention that I'm the one who was moving that piece of furniture at the time, so it's totally my fault. But those are things you want to deal with. You've got a floor that is ridiculously beautiful, very rich, beautiful, lovely floor. How do you deal with imperfections in it? Well, I'm not a hide it guy. That's the kind of stuff where people just complain after close of escrow. I strongly believe that you shouldn't actively hide those things, but you should do what you can do to repair them. You can pay to get things refinished, but it doesn't make sense to do that when the imperfection is very localized. Now, in my case, if I could find some Brazilian cherry that's even vaguely in the same color range and everything, which I don't think would be horribly hard, even if it wasn't, I think the closeness of the match would be enough to not be annoying. Since it's right on the edge of the room, it's within just, it would only take 6 boards to replace. And since it's on an edge, I could potentially get that done. But there are ways to do it that don't require you even to go that much trouble. You can get a crayon of the same color to fill in any divots or other small imperfections. Now, and this one's interesting, and it's one I'm going to try on my crazy mark on my floor. A 1-to-1 mix of olive oil and vinegar rubbed directly on scratched areas will also help make it look new. Now, I'm absolutely going to try that one out myself. I haven't done it yet. I'll let you know what the results are. But you can also use canola oil if you don't have olive oil, but then you're supposed to use 1 part vinegar and 3 part oil. But there's also a way for you to do this where you can fix scratches using walnuts. Now, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details of that particular treatment. There will be a link in the show notes for that, using walnuts to get scratches. Now, those are just for basic level scratches, not for like huge gouges and that type of thing. I'd suggest you do a Google search for that kind of stuff. There are some I've seen out there where you lay particularly for larger gouges. There's ones where you can do some sanding, just very localized, and then do a little staining. There's a variety of different things that you can do. And there's also one solution where you actually take a wet towel wetted with certain stuff and then put an iron on it to try and plump the wood back up under the scratch to get things to come back up level again. All things you can try. I'll include links to what I do have in the show notes, which will include a link to this article that covers these top 10 things, but then also one for a video at YouTube for using the walnuts to remove scratches, and then also one at dummies.com for how to do some more involved scratches or gouges. So it'll give you a good leaping off point to get these things done if it's a problem that you're personally facing. Next on their list, number 2, make it sparkle. And this is absolutely true. Their quote is, when selling your home, you need to take the cleaning beyond your typical weekly run through. Think spring cleaning turned up a notch or 2. Now, we talked about this just before I went on vacation. I decided that I needed to go from one end of my house to the other and make everything perfect. I started in my master closet. I then worked into my master bedroom, then my master bath. My master bath, to be honest, I didn't do because we're still going to remodel that bad boy, and then just move out of the home and work from there. And as you're backing out, you look back into the room and make sure everything is perfect. Now, the one imperfection that remains in these rooms as I back out is they all need to be repainted. As part of that repainting, you should take down everything. Every paint, every nail, everything that's in the wall should be pulled out. You should patch that stuff and then paint it. In the sense I am going to resell, I am painting very light. I'm going to probably use like an eggshell white type color, simply because brighter is better. The other thing I was going to mention before when I was leading up to the beginning of the show where I talked about smells, the other thing I meant to mention then was lightness. You want your home to be as light as possible. It makes the area feel bigger. It makes it more inviting. It makes it feel warmer. And aside from a very large area that's currently painted kind of a beige color, a very light beige, every smaller room, I'm going to repaint that gigantic area the same color, or just do a touch up. Just because, as I said, I've raised 3 kids in this house and they've managed to work their magic on the walls. I'm going to paint the rest of the rooms this whiter color in order to make the space brighter. And because we want to emphasize that, right? Well, I've mentioned before that I have floor to ceiling windows for both floors of my home. So the front facing part of my home, from the absolute floor to the absolute ceiling, going all the way up 2 floors, is nothing but windows. And I want to take full advantage of that natural light that's coming in. And the best way to do that is through these lighter colors. So as part of your spring cleaning, where your home is made as pristine as possible, repainting is one of the best things to do in terms of a payoff. And it also gives you what we talked about in item 1, one of those smells that gets homes sold. All right, number 3, and we just kind of touched on this one a little bit. Let the light in. Natural light is huge. I find buyers respond to natural light in a very big way. Have everything open. So show off what you've got and have those drapes and blinds open. Now, something else I'm going to suggest: replace every single light bulb in your house. If you have certain fixtures that allow for 2 light bulbs and you only have 1, put a second light bulb in. Now, I'm in a state where I think that, and I'm not sure what the limit is now, but I live in a state where they limited the wattage of light bulbs. I don't know if this was a countrywide thing or just California, but you couldn't buy 100-watt bulbs. And I don't even think you can buy 75-watt bulbs anymore. I think you can only buy 60-watt at a max. So me, being the kind of semi-anal retentive guy I am, I bought enough 100-watt bulbs before the restrictions went in to replace every bulb in my house, specifically thinking at some point I will want to make sure I am making this house as bright as possible. So I have 100-watt light bulbs in, or will have in all of my fixtures. So the home shows very light. So actually in my walk-in closet, I replaced that creepy, soft, icky light that was cast by one fluorescent bulb with a 100-watt bulb, and my closet looks 100 times better. So take that for what it's worth. Put in the highest wattage that you can for each room and make those spaces look light. If your place isn't light and bright, even with all the blinds and drapes drawn, you'll need to depend on artificial lighting, as I just said. This is no time to have light bulbs out. Go hit that stash in your laundry room cabinet and switch out for fresh bulbs. So every single bulb should be working, and you should have every single fixture populated with as many bulbs as it will hold. All right, so next on their list is declutter. And I think while that's part of spring cleaning, it's also what I'm doing. Now, one of the things we did after coming back from Disneyland was take a couple of loads to stuff to storage. Now, for those of you who've been listening for a while, you know that I've been making trips to storage now for probably the last 2 months. Tons of books, bookcases, random pieces of furniture. This weekend, it was an entertainment center, a reclining chair, tons of boxes. It was a lot of, and tons of stuff that had come out of my master closet that just had no business being in my master closet. So lots of stuff. If you have rooms filled with things, you need to get rid of them. Remember the rule, when you're walking through that space, you need to be able to walk throughout the entire area without ever turning sideways to avoid something. So I have 2 more pieces of furniture in my living room that are going to go away. I have probably 50% of the furniture that's currently in my office is going to go away. And then my place is ready to go. Remember, you need to pare down, and you need to be thinking, what things must I have access to for the 3 to 6 remaining months that I'm going to live in this house? Anything else, anything that is clothing, everything that you only wear in winter, put it in boxes, get rid of it, put it in a storage, all of that stuff. You need to declutter. There needs, and also this means the example they have here in the story that I'm looking at is a room that has tons of animal heads mounted all over the place. I'm taking down all personal photos. There will be no family photos. There'll be no nothing up on my walls. Any random tchotchkes, all that kind of stuff are already gone and packed. You need to do the same. Again, it's about creating an environment that the visitor can template onto. Let's see, just to give them a quote, home stagers will tell you there is no more important step than preparing your home for sale. Quote, if you're serious about staging your home, all clutter must go. End of story. It's not easy, and it may even require utilizing offsite storage or a nice relative's garage temporarily, but it is well worth the trouble. Folks, my ground truth totally verifies this. I have seen folks who have decided, well, you know what, I'll declutter, but I'll just put it all in the garage. The garage is part of your house, and a chuck full garage, particularly if you have a garage that's a good size, a garage chuck full of stuff feels smaller than it is. So you don't want that to be the case. You don't want folks walking in thinking, wow, will both of our cars fit in here? When clearly they would, because it's just full of your junk. The other thing is, if for whatever reason, if for finances or whatever reason, you just absolutely, no question, cannot get the stuff into storage. You can't afford the $100 a month or $200 or whatever you're paying per month for that storage facility. That's just outside of your budget. Do not stack these boxes against the walls of your garage. That will present inspection problems for you down the road. You need to start in the center of the garage and work out and make it so that you can walk around the perimeter of your garage on the inside. Why? 2 reasons. 1, your buyers are going to want to do that to see the status of your property. 2, the inspector is going to want to see the walls of the garage. And if there are parts of the wall that cannot be seen because your boxes are in the way, they're going to make note of that on their inspection and say, we couldn't look, so we can't comment. And many buyers will say, well, you're going to need to move all that crap out of the way, and then we'll have to bring the inspector back because we don't know what's against that wall. There may be nothing, there may be no reason to think there's anything, but a lot of buyers are going to be cagey and might insist on that happening. So you might have to move all that crap anyway, which would be a huge pain in the butt. Okay. Number 5, depersonalize. We've already talked about this. This has been something we've talked about over and over and over. It's not because you're offending someone with your personal life or the fact you have children that you love. It's because you need to make this a property that is as neutral as possible so folks, again, can template on it. If your big thing is taxidermy, take all the taxidermy down. If your big thing is Tinkerbell, get all the Tinkerbell stuff out of there. Those aren't neutral things. It's going to make it harder for folks to be able to template. Create closet space is number 6. Even if you have the world's largest walk-in closet in the master bedroom, you can give buyers the impression that there isn't enough space by overfilling it. This is huge. This is also something I just jumped through in my master closet. I took tons of clothes that I haven't worn in a decade, packed it up or gave it away, actually gave most of it away. Stuff that I didn't fit me because I'm too much of a fat pig right now. That stuff all got packed. So I only have in my closet the stuff that I will probably wear within the next 3 to 6 months. And if I'm being perfectly honest, probably half the stuff that's still hanging in my closet is stuff I won't wear in the next 3 to 6 months. So I need to slap myself, go back in there and pack the other half of those clothes. Because space available speaks to livability, and folks like to see extra space. It makes them think, well, this person's able to make do with so much room. Or seeing open space, the first thing that pops into someone's head is, wow, plenty of space in here. Number 7. and this is one we talked about at the beginning when I was kind of riffing, remove the stink. Smells are bad. Smells are the number one turnoff. They're the number one thing that's going to hit someone when they walk through the door. Deal with them. Number 8, pull the weeds. This is one that I think is just important in general. This is about curb appeal. You need for folks to see a home that they are attracted to from the moment they drive up. So part of that's going to mean showing a landscaped yard that doesn't communicate, that you don't keep up the property, because maybe with a few weeds in the front yard, and this may not apply to you at all. You may be someone who is anal retentive about keeping up with your house, but you just don't do much gardening. Someone who sees that sort of thing is going to assume that that translates into general neglect. And that's not what you want to communicate. You want to communicate someone who keeps on top of everything. And that includes the weeding and everything else in the front of your property. Okay, next, number 9, address your furniture. According to this article, some of the most common problems in homes when it comes to furniture: 1, it's ugly; 2, it's old, or there's too much of it. The arrangement is uninviting. Ugly and old might be hard to overcome when you're trying not to spend money, but the rest you can do something about. So I've seen a lot of this where it's not even about being ugly or being old. It's just there's too much of it. And you need to again, be able to navigate around a space without feeling like you're cramped by the things that are in that space. 10, borrow stuff. If at the end of the day your home still isn't looking show ready, maybe it's time to raid a friend's house, have a loved one who has an extra couch that's more neutral than yours, or a couple of great accessories. It's time to test their love for you. And another option is to go with a staging service that will bring in furniture that's specifically designed for staging. Now, another way you can go is you can go to some of these rental places that actually rent furniture. If you've got a vacant home, usually renting furniture is going to be cheaper than staging your home. And remember, you're just looking for context. So oftentimes you don't need to have a real bed in there. I know folks who have simply taken a bunch of packing boxes with nothing in them, set them up to be a bed, put a bedspread over them, just to give an idea of the size of a bed that would fit in that space. Be aware, because I've seen it happen, you will eventually get a buyer who tries to sit on that bed and falls through the boxes. So good luck. One option there is to go with some of those inflatable beds. You can get these relatively cheaply. The entire cost of one would be less than renting probably a bedroom set. But you can find these on Amazon. You can find these at Target. It's literally, you pick the size, queen size, whatever, and simply inflate it, put blankets on it like it's a regular old bed, and you'll have the advantage of having a bed-sized thing in the room that's got bedspreads on it and everything, so that everyone can see what the context of the room is, but they won't fall through it when they sit on it. Okay, I hope that's been helpful for everyone. I love the hardwood floor stuff in this particular article because I've been trying to figure out what the smart move is for dealing with some of the small imperfections in my floor. And I absolutely will take some of these to heart and see if I can't make them work for me. And I hope that's the same for you. I hope, as always, that come the end of this show, you feel like you have gotten far more value out of it than time you've had to put into listening to all this junk. Thanks again for listening, everybody. I truly appreciate it. I'll talk to you all next time.